Alright, everybody, how are we doing today? This one's going to be a little bit lighthearted, a bit lighter-hearted, but it's still going to be kind of, injustice-y. Good game, by the way. Injustice Gods Among Us? Hell yeah. But, from Reason.com, Free Minds and Free Markets, it says, County says seizing home over, get this, $8.41 tax debt. You had tax debt totaling $8.41. That's barely enough to buy a fucking sub sandwich. And they say it was okay because counties need money. Like, what? Yeah, this ain't justice. That's not even close to justice. Seizes a guy's home because of the $8.41 worth of tax debt. But it says you have a situation where a person owed $8 and lost their house. I mean, how is that equitable? Asked Michigan Supreme Court Justice Richard Bernstein. See, even a justice is saying this shit. The argument before the Michigan Supreme Court, attorneys for the county that pocketed nearly $25,000 from forfeiting Yuri Raffaelli's property over an $8.41 tax debt argued that it's not really about the property, it's about the money. The telling moment came in the midst of a back and forth between Justice Richard Bernstein and John Birch, the attorney representing Oakland County and trying to defend the county's right to seize the full value of Raffaelli's property. Over a minuscule debt, Birch had argued that it was impossible for local governments to compensate all homeowners who had been caught in similar circumstances. The price tag he estimated would be more than $2 billion statewide. Raffaelli's situation is awful, but hardly unique, under the terms of a state law passed in 1999. County treasurers in Michigan are allowed to seize properties with unpaid taxes, settle the debt, and keep the remainder for their own budgets. The Pacific Legal Foundation, a non-profit law firm, is challenging that law, arguing it violates provisions in both the Michigan and U.S. constitutions. A ruling for the plaintiffs will ruin local governments, warned Birch. That will come right out of schools, roads, firefighters, and other basic services. Bernstein wasn't buying it. The interpretation you gave was very dramatic, that this is going to end schools and the counties are going to crumble and society is just going to implode, said Bernstein, interrupting Birch. You have a situation where a person owed $8 and lost their house. I mean, how is that equitable? It may sound unfair on its face, Birch replied, but it's also unfair to force those who pay their taxes to subsidize those who don't. Well, I got a solution for you there. Stop taking the taxes. Taxation is theft. Bernstein was still skeptical. It was $8, he said, couldn't be a mistake. Couldn't it be a mistake? The counties don't want the property, argued Bush. They want the money. There are two different ways to interpret Birch's argument. What he was probably trying to say is that counties are using the law and forfeiture proceedings authorized by it as a punitive measure to compel the payment of taxes. Later, during the same oral arguments, he described the arrangement as pure government paternalism. It's the same as when I tell my kids, if you don't pick up your stuff, it's mine, Birch argued. They can't complain when I then take their stuff and claim that I took their equity in that property. That's a silly analogy for a whole bunch of reasons. Homeowners aren't the government's children. Most importantly, Chief Justice Bridget Mary McCormick quickly crushed that line of argumentation by pointing out counties can't dodge takings claims by arguing that at least they respected due process. That would be like cops trying to get away with violating the Fourth Amendment's prohibition against unreasonable searches simply by claiming they were respecting a suspect's First Amendment right to complain about the search. And yeah, we're not the government's children. That's straight up Big Brotherism. Yeah, that's probably not a real term, but now it is. Big Brotherism. Having the attitude of trying to enforce a Big Brother state, and saying it's a good thing. Big Brotherism. But beyond the gross paternalism on display, the county's argument still breaks down. Only a few states have property tax forfeiture laws that are as strict as punitive as Michigan. But people in other states still pay their property taxes, and local governments in Michigan have plenty of other means by which to compel the payment of taxes. Interest fees and penalties are already charged in situations where forfeiture occurs in Michigan. If those measures are not sufficient, they can be increased by statute. By imposing penalties, it is fundamentally different than taking the full value of a property over unpaid taxes. Whether he meant to or not, the second way to understand Birch's comments about the county wanting the money is that he's saying the quiet part loud. The quiet part loud. As Reason's reporting has shown, counties do seem to want the money, and not just the money they are owed from taxes, but the excess revenue they've been able to raise by aggressively pursuing home equity forfeitures. In Oakland County, for example, the special budgetary fund that contains revenue from tax foreclosed properties contained more than $196 million last year, according to the county's most recent comprehensive annual financial report. The same document details plans to use the DTRF for a number of pet projects, including the construction of a new animal shelter and adoption center. The county also anticipates the continuation of annual transfers from the DTRF to support general fund, general purpose operations in the amount of $3.0 million annually for FY, not 2019 through FY 2023. That's fiscal year. Totals that are in line with historical norms according to the annual report. That's hundreds of millions of dollars in private equity that have been transferred to two counties, controlled completely legally under the terms of Act 123. In neighboring Wayne County, more than $382 million in delinquent tax surpluses have been funneled into the general fund budget since 2012, according to an analysis by Bridge Magazine, a Michigan-based nonprofit publication. This probably isn't the sort of thing that will be a determining factor in the lawsuit against Oakland County, but it does make clear just how much money is at stake here. Failure to pay your property taxes doesn't give the government license to take everything from you, says Christina Martin, the attorney with PLF who represented Raffaele and other landowners in front of the state Supreme Court. If they could do that, then they could take your car if you pay a parking ticket late. A ruling in the case is expected in the first half of next year. They took a man's house, his land, his property, everything he had, over $8.41 worth of property tax. Yeah, I dare say everything they took from him cost way more than $8.41. A lot more. Bottom line is, that's just state-sanctioned theft right there, and the government's calling itself out on it. The judges are putting the county on the spot. That is theft from the government. And even if taxation ain't theft, this certainly is. As far as I'm concerned, they should sue that county, and the man should not only get his property back, but I insist that the politicians behind this should be removed from office. This is obvious corruption, in my view. This was no accident. They did this on purpose. They just wanted the revenue. That's political corruption. I don't care what the revenue was going to go to. I do not even fucking care. Anyway, peace.